Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Resident Evil. In the last part we got here to the outer courtyard, and now we're going to continue on to the next area. And now we're going to use the square crank, finally. Dear Lord, you can barely see that on my screen. I might have to jump that brightness a bit. Now, I want to remedy something as we're climbing over this little water bridge here. I've actually made a couple of mistakes in the last parts, in terms of what I've been talking about. First off, well, also, there's baby yawns here. They can poison you. Watch out for that. And in the next two areas, there's two dogs, so just run. At the end of the first part, I showed the uncensored intro and first zombie encounter. And I mentioned in the callouts in front of those, or not callouts, title clips, that the DS version had both of those. I was wrong in this. I actually was forgetting, I was half right, but I was forgetting one thing. The DS version has the uncensored zombie encounter, not the uncensored intro. I was thinking of the PC version entirely for that. I apologize for that. And also, I think it was the last part or two parts ago, I mentioned that there was two different soundtracks for the original game that I'd never heard the original. Turns out I was wrong. I actually have heard both, but I remember this one more accurately. Because this right here is the original soundtrack. Because I recall Director's Cut getting the original the newer soundtrack, but I was actually thinking of Director's Cut DualShock, which is the version most Director's Cut owners have. And upon listening to it, yeah, the original soundtrack is downright better. Though there are songs I hate in this soundtrack more than I hate in the other one, especially two we'll be hearing in this part. Not because they're just bad, but because they're just plain annoying sounding. Anyway, welcome to the dormitory. This is where a lot of the people who have lived in the mansion, or worked in the mansion, even lived. And you gotta want to move the statue over this hole. Why? Because if you walk over that hole, a vine grabs you and causes a bit of damage. It's annoying. Anyway, now we're gonna head into here, which is this area's save room. In fact, upon listening to the soundtrack that they added into DualShock, I could say for a fact that this song alone is what makes me prefer this soundtrack. Because the song they gave this in DualShock is just ugh. Anyway, we got some explosive rounds, which are ammo for the bazooka. Speaking of which, that thing's finally going to get some use. Why? Because the boss of this area. Because it is annoying. Also, I forget if I mentioned already, but there's one scene with Barry. Oh, here's one of the songs I hate, by the way. Ugh, this song's annoying. There are two zombies in here. Just shoot them in the face. They'll die. There's one scene with Barry I'm unable to find anywhere to download and show you guys because I missed it. Yet again, the cutoff for it is talking to Richard. Pretty much you have to go to, what's it called? There's one room I didn't enter that has a fish tank in it. You have to go in there and he'll be investigating it. You can probably look up the Jill cutscenes on YouTube and you can probably find it, but I'm unable to find it. If I can find a video of it, I'll probably put a link to it in the description below. So check that out, I suppose. Anyway, here we got a red book. Which is a thing. And apparently this is a blank book, too. Maybe it's full of psychic paper from Doctor Who. And in here in the bathroom, there's some things we can get. Namely, we have to drain the tub. And upon doing so, we will find something that's helpful to us. There's actually a bathroom in the mansion you could have done this to as well. However, in Jill's scenario, there's nothing. In Chris's scenario, there's a small key, which is what the lockpick replaces. And speaking of which, I really hate the small key system in this game, because that's another inventory slot that's just not necessary. However, when I eventually do the remake, I'm going to have to deal with it, because I'm playing that as Chris. And also in that version, in the arrange mode, that's present in DualShock, which has some funky camera angles and new item arrangements. They also, what's it called? In the bathroom in the mansion, they added a little encounter with a zombie. And in the remake, Jill outright kills the thing in a cutscene, which is pretty awesome, actually. Anyway, here we got a dormitory key, and after you get this, run. Why? Bees! My god, they're in my eyes! Oh yeah, the bees suck. There's a door in there I didn't enter, because that's what happens because of the side quest in this area. And the side quest in this area is actually pretty interesting. It actually weakens the overall boss. In doing so, you have to do some basic math to make a V-jolt thing. And I believe that room there, which is another safe room, actually, is where you can do that. You pretty much have to mix chemicals together via a simple math equation that a later file gives you. I just bumped my mic twice, sorry about that. It's pretty simple. The remake would make it a bit funkier, though. Do it if you want, but I'm not going to, because not doing so will give me an extra cutscene, which I like to see, because of a certain line that's in it. And we got 3 more green herbs. I'm actually going to mix these together to make another herb combination, the gray herb combination, once I get the idea to do so. Wow, that's dark. I'm not sure if it's that dark in the actual game, or if my recording is just doing that. I might have to change some settings around. Either way, we got the lockpick. Or no, we used the lockpick to get some more shells, which is always useful. It's actually around this point that I just recommend not using the handgun much at all, because the shotgun just gets more than enough ammo. And here's a dormitory sketch, which is a map for the area. Now, one thing about the map I forgot to mention is that you get a map of where you go through, no matter what, but the map just shows you the overall room structure. Though I'm not getting the second room floor thing. Anyway, here's another report talking about Plant 42. Apparently, this plant was affected by the T-virus. The T-virus, as this thing is essentially saying, is what's causing all this stuff to go down. It's what's making humans into zombies, and plants into these Plant 42s, and so on and so forth. Apparently, Plant 42 is this giant plant that has 2 growth sources of nutrients, one due to a water chemical mixture down below us, and another by grabbing people with vines that sucks the blood out of them and such. I was gonna read this one in depth, but then I just decided not to. Because I don't think I could keep up with this. A lot of the files do have some interesting filler material, I'm not gonna lie. Like I mentioned, there's probably an all-files walkthrough somewhere on GameFAQs, so check that out. Oh, 1998. Keep in mind, 1998 was the future at the point of this time's release, because I think this was 96 that this was released. And because of that, that was the future, and wow, times were different back then. 1998. 17 years ago, my god, that's kind of thing weird to think about. Anyway, there's a secret ladder here. Gotta be a really awful drat for those who live in this room. Or lived. And another song I hate. Got really goofy in DualShock, too. Anyway, this is actually one of my least favorite rooms in the game. Why? Because we have a Tales of Symphonia block-pushing puzzle. That if you screw it up, you have to start the entire room over. We have to push all 3 of these boxes into this little water thing. Just looks like a green area, but there's water there, I assure you. Now, a lot of people say that the DualShock soundtrack is a lot more atmospheric, but I'm actually going to disagree with that. That soundtrack's a bit too silly. Certain tracks aside. Like, this is actually a really atmospheric track. In fact, I was getting kind of unsettled when I was recording it, because I recorded this at like 1 in the morning. Mind you, the fact that I was tired probably had a good amount to do with that. Because honestly, Resident Evil games, the exception of maybe some sections in 3 and 1 DLC mission in 5, is not scary. Well, it does get the occasional good jump scare, and I'm looking at 1 in Leon B and 2 specific. Well, Claire B, Leon B. Ugh, that freaking jump scare with the window and that got me good. Those who played the game probably know which one I'm talking about when you're in the interrogation room. Anyway, now we're done with that stupid block pushing segment. Oh, who put water in the halls? I'm probably going to need to toy around with both the emulator settings and the editor settings to see if I can get the brightness up a bit. Because that's really dark. That's a lot of water. I do like how your running speed is actually reduced, though. You're going to want to hurry over to your next objective, though, which is one of the two rooms over here, the one on the left in specific. Because of the giant shark in here. Meet Neptune. You'll never see it again. In the remake, Neptune was made a lot more terrifying because he was an actual threat. Not so much in this version, though. Why? Because once we're in here, he's pretty much, or she, I think, actually, is useless because we're going to lower the water. And thus, not a single care was given. I forgot to do something there because, as you'll see, I actually make a direct U-turn. Because for some reason, whenever I'm in this room, actually, I always forget to do one thing, and that's press the shining button right there in order to open the room next door, which is where we need to go. Actually, the dormitory section of the game, it's weird. It's often considered like the second fourth. Because I divide the game into 4 sections. The mansion, this, the second visit to the mansion, and the final area. And this section is just short. Like, we're pretty much done with it by the end of the part, short. Anyway, this is a pretty awesome room. We get 2 clips of handgun ammo, 2 clips of, 2 cases of shotgun shells, and a key. And it's pretty sad, too, because the handgun's gonna lose a lot of use very soon. Because, first off, the shotgun's just getting so much ammo at this point. And because it can instant kill a lot of enemies, especially ones that are gonna be annoying coming up, it's just really useful to have. Anyway, what's that flapping sound? Beach sharks! That's satisfying to do. A lot more satisfying in the remake, though, I'll give it that. Because Neptune was made huge in the remake. There's 2 green herbs here, but they're not useful. You know, I was criticizing this game earlier for being really well lit, but now I'm looking at some of these rooms, I'm like, wow, that's really dark. Anyway, I forgot to enter this bathroom before, so let's do it now. Oh, sorry, dude. Didn't know you were in here. Now you never will be again. The reason you come in here is for a handgun clip. I believe this zombie, or was it another zombie in the bathroom, may have been in the next dormitory room bathroom, was actually hanging himself. In fact, there was another extra puzzle added to this area where you had to pretty much enter a keypad code using colors of eyes that you could find in a game room that I didn't enter, which has an extra case of shotgun shells in it, I believe, or was it another handgun clip? Either way, it's the red door in the main hallway. Near the save room, actually. And there's also a giant-ass spider in there. Can you tell why I didn't go in? Anyway, now we want to enter the 3rd dormitory room. Yeah, wow, that's really low brightness. Ugh. I'm actually going to toy around with the brightness settings on the emulator. But I'll do that after this. Then again, it might just be the dormitory section doing this. And yet again, I'm sorry, dude, though I have to wonder, how are you planning to commit suicide with flame rounds? Yeah, because that's what these guys were trying to do. They knew they were infected with the T-virus, which is what we now know caused all this, due to the Plant 42 report. Because if it can mutate a plant, it can damn well mutate a human. So that's pretty interesting. Thought there, I think. Sentence failure. Anyway, White Book is the V-Jolt report. This is how you learn to do that little side quest. Like I mentioned, I'm not doing it because, first off, the boss fight itself that this thing weakens isn't that hard. And second off, I get a cutscene for not doing it, so... And that red book we mentioned seems to fit into here, so let's put that in here. What is the point of that? Either way, get out the bazooka, because it's time for a boss fight. Against what? Well... just Plan 42. Plan 42 likes to smack you with his vines, have rocks falling from the ceiling, and has another attack that I always forget what it does, but it's really sad because 3 bazooka shots takes it out.
What the hell is this?
Barry!
Jill!
You saved me!
Yeah?
That was close. Thanks, Barry.
Don't mention it. What a monster. I can't believe... What the hell is this place anyway?
And that continues the reason I didn't do the V-Jolt side quest. Barry wouldn't show up and save you the flamethrower if you did it. I think that changes in the remake, though. Anyway, we got another mansion key, which means we gotta head back there. Great. But which key is this? This is the helmet key, which allows me to get probably the best weapon in the game. Later on. Anyway, how you doing, Barry?
Okay. I'm gonna stay in the soldiers' area and take a look around. Though I'm sure there are still things in that other mansion as well. Anyway, let's start searching separately.
Okay.
Well, that was a thing. Also, the games room actually has a pretty interesting document that you can read about winning some sort of pool tournament to be the chief of the Raccoon City Police for the day, which, by the way, is the city that this place is near. They discussed that in the intro schematic, intro scene, I believe, on the newspaper.
Wesker!
Jill, so you're safe.
That's what I was going to say. Where on earth have you been? You disappeared from the hall all of a sudden.
I'm sorry, but I have my reasons. Perhaps you guys have met them? It was all I could do to protect myself against those strange creatures.
Is that right? Anyway, it's good to see you're safe.
Jill, our first priority is to get out of here.
Yes, you're right.
Now, there are a lot of rooms in that mansion that we can't get into because they're locked up. I have been looking around for clues.
Okay, I'll go to the other house and see if I can find any clues.
Will you do that? I'm counting on you.
Brilliant delivery on Wesker, huh? Whoa, that is... Are these bees filled with nitroglycerin or something? Because bees shouldn't explode that violently. Alrighty then. But yeah, we're done here in the dormitory. We never have to come back here, thankfully. The remake actually added another segment with a certain architect's daughter that'll chase you around, very similarly to a character in Resident Evil 3. But it's thankfully not in this game, and I'm glad, because I hate that thing. I hate segments like that. Anyway, this is my current inventory setup. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 5, we're heading back to the mansion. See you guys then.